everybody. Welcome here to the LCS. I am Freak, and I'm joined here with a jovial Joshua.
I did that in every rehearsal, and you didn't laugh.
I didn't see it before. I was looking at you. I just assumed you were jovial. The jovial Joshua Jat Leisman. We're live from Los Angeles, and it is time for TSM versus MRN. The last time these guys met, it was at MLG Anaheim, and TSM had a very convincing 2-0 victory. But since then, MRN's revamped their roster, and as we saw in the live qualifiers just a month ago, they're kind of the comeback kings.
So the one thing that people don't know much about MRN's devastating loss yesterday against Dignitas is Echo was pretty much on his deathbed that game. He threw up right before the game. He had a garbage can right next to his place. They were just ready to pause the game because they thought he was going to throw up again at almost any moment. Hopefully he's feeling better today because it really hurts when your mid laner just isn't physically there to play. And TSM's also going to try to push their early game advantage with those 2v3 tower dives.
Well, sure. Again, we talked about them being these comeback kings, so we'll see if they can do that. And one of those champions they've been running like all the time was Renekton, Dyrus 3 times in a row.
And yesterday we saw nothing but Renekton in every game. Today we haven't seen him yet. And Dyrus's Renekton is going to be pretty important for him. Like you said, all 3 games. 6.0 KDA I think I saw somewhere. So if he picks Renekton again, it'll be really interesting to see if TSM's just going to stick with what works or if they're going to mix it up a little bit.
And of course, speaking with Dyrus, he's a pretty star player. He's cool, bro. He's a top laner. He's awesome. But we actually came back and talked with his dad, Dadris, over the World Championships, Season 2 Championships last year. We caught up with him, sorry, again, we caught up with him during the last year's playoffs, and we had a pretty emotional look at those two's story.
My name is Dyrus. I'm a professional League of Legends player, and I play top lane for Team Solo Mid.
Hey, I'm Mark Hill from Hawaii. I'm Dyrus's father. I'm here to support my son in this championship.
My relationship with my dad, he got me into baseball, he got me into karate.
I think a father's job is to make a man out of his son, not to baby him. I'm not the nicest dad, so don't get fooled by that.
After high school, he took me in for plumbing because he wanted to send me into a direction. Plumbing, it was easy at first. Sometimes I get caught sleeping on the job and I get yelled at. Yeah,
I fired him a couple times working for me. He just started. He did learn a little bit, but his heart was always in the game.
So after he fired me once, he wanted to send me to plumbing school, and that's when I had to make my decision. I was like, Dad, I don't really want to go to plumbing school. I want to do computers. And he's like, well, son, I'm going to have to fire you. Get out of the car and let's go home. So from there, he let me off, and I didn't know what to do.
Found out so many months later, because we were kind of at odds, we weren't really talking, that he was going to move to New York. You know, my sister, who passed away, his auntie, said, you need to go talk to him. I said, what are you talking about? He said, he's pro level. And I said, what's that mean, pro level? That means they can make a living playing.
On the last day, he came over to the house and talked to me, and we made up, and it was a really emotional moment, and we bonded a little bit. And
this is my first tournament, and I guess this one's significant because of it's kind of a reality that my son has made something of his life at such a young age. As a father, that's really important. So,
without him, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. He's just the biggest role model I've ever had.
There's really nothing, I mean, you kids might not understand this. A father can be more proud of than when a son's his own man. Because then the father can relax.
All right, there you see him on your screen, Dyrus right there. Biggest role model, Dadris.
It's such a touching story, just the way he's been able to rebond with Dyrus and what that's done for their relationship. It's awesome.
It is pretty awesome. And of course, speaking of awesome, our blue team for the first match, TSM. Dyrus, we just talked about him up in the top lane, the Outrun in the jungle, Reginald in mid, and Chaos and Special on AD and support.
So on the red side, it's going to be Team MRN, Mega Zero in the top lane, Claky D on jungle, Echo trying to recover from illness in the mid lane, Heartbeat the AD carry, and of course Atomic N on support.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can do that. Again, we talked about Echo being sick yesterday. Hopefully he's recovered pretty well. And, I want to see these guys come up and do really well. TSM, they said, actually I talked to Reginald before the game today, and he said that he actually threw that game against Dignitas and that they should have been able to win it. You saw that level 2, or sorry, the double kill with double buffs being taken away like really early on in the game, and Reggie was like, we should have won, I threw it away, I'm going to do better this time.
And that's one of the swingiest interactions that actually exists in League of Legends, is if your double buffed jungler around level 3 dies and hands that double buffs to the enemy team, it really, really pushes the game in one direction. That actually happened in Marn's game against Dignitas as well yesterday when Claky D got caught out. So both of these teams really know what that's happening. So we might actually see a bit more of a passive early game.
We'll see if the guys can do it, of course. I mean, the thing is, TSM is an aggressive team, though. You talked about it in the beginning, really, that TSM have been guys.
3v2 tower dives.
3v2 tower dives, man. Chaos talked about it. Crumbs talked about it when he was up there and said that we actually know TSM does this normally. We're in a Champions Select. We're going to see what these guys are up to. Yeah, you're seeing TSM really put a lot of pressure on early. So in my mind, I can't see them being like, well, we give up double buffs once, we're going to stop playing aggro.
And the thing is, the double buffs weren't given up in their initial 3v2 tower dives, so they're probably still going to try to do something like that. It was just the mid lane gank later that the odd one did that really ended up costing them. As we see a Kale ban out almost immediately, that's really something that's trending more and more, especially this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, though, because we've seen Kale really grabbed from TSM so much. They took that, I think, right away in their very first match of the day against CLG back in week 1. I think that was their first pick here. But we're seeing Renekton, right away still available, as well as, Oddwin's Maokai, Oddwin's Xin Zhao, or sorry, not Xin Zhao, but Jarvan the Fourth. A lot of those big picks are still available so far.
So we'll see what the bans end up going with. Renekton, of course, still available. Not for long, man. It's gone.
And it's actually TSM banning it.
Yes, it is TSM banning it. Mega Zero was someone who played it last time he met Dignitas. He was doing the red potion start on Renekton, and maybe that has something to do with TSM really wanting to do the 3v2 tower dives, and Renekton being actually one of the most resilient to those tower dives, if TSM wants to run their kind of same strategy every game like they have in the past.
All right, we'll see what else comes up here. The Vi being banned out as well. So, we talked about these trinity of junglers, the Xin Zhao, Vi, and Jarvan the Fourth. So far, Mars has just been removing them. Ironically, the Claky D is known for his Jarvan, so we'll see if TSM first picks that, though they have been first picking Taric all the time.
And the Taric Jarvan is something that has been fairly prevalent, as every time we talk about a strategy, it gets banned out from under us. The Taric Jarvan armor auras have been very key, and a lot of teams have been going for that. Team Solomon had to fight against that when they played Vulcan yesterday. You can actually get up to 52 armor when you get max flag and max shatter on Jarvan and Taric. But of course, we're not seeing those things. They get 1/2 of the combination and first pick Taric, much like Curse had in an earlier game.
And just, it's funny because it's like the legend of TS and the legend of Reginald is now forcing another LeBlanc ban. We haven't even seen her played yet in LCS.
They had a chance to play LeBlanc yesterday, and then he baited everyone, and we're getting ready to go, and we're like, they're going to do it, and he swapped off of it. It's like Reginald last picking in these champion selects, he'll actually highlight a champion that makes logical sense, sit on it, and then change.
Yeah, and
It's
actually,
the worst.
talking with Saint, actually, about his last match, about Curse's last match, right? Kobe kept talking about that jungle Kassadin, and he hovered over it, and he was asking his teammates. He said, I was literally asking my guys, can you let me play this Kassadin, please? And they didn't let him. So maybe that comes into play as well. His teammates won't let him play these champions.
I think Saint's also just trying to troll Kobe 24, personally. I think
That
that's
doesn't
what
sound like
the
Saint at
true
all.
story is going on. But okay, we have Lulu and Shen done for Marn. I don't know if that Shen's going to be going mid or top. Something that these teams have been doing so much, especially in Season 3, is like the double or the triple fake-outs with where people can go.
Yep.
There's some champions like a Jace, mid or top, that anytime you can dual lane / jungle, it really just throws a wrench in things.
And it's interesting because we even saw Lulu playing a lot of different roles as well. We saw mid Lulu from
Mid lane
Vulcan.
today, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Shen jungle and top lane a whole heck of a lot. There's just a lot of options here. MF Taric, that's no stranger of a lane at all, though. That could be actually quite an awesome pick here for Chaos.
Chaos really loves his misfortune, and he's, like we said yesterday, someone who's just whatever is the best right now in his mind, and he'll just go with it because he doesn't believe that that's something that goes away if he's managing to swap off. But he went, what?
Tristana.
What?
So I actually really like Tristana.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I love Tristana. Now, people trash on her early mid game because she's All her spells get off AP instead of attack damage, but she's like the safest and highest. Like it's like picking Kog'Maw with while you have a jump. You got two escapes. You've got Buster Shot and Rocket Jump. I'm a huge Trist fan.
I mean, Tristana does have her competitive edges. It's just very unlike Chaos at this juncture to be picking Tristana. Like, it's not something that he was blocking from Heartbeat.
Sure.
It's not something that they needed to switch around based on the TSM that I'm used to seeing, right? Because the TSM that I'm used to seeing from tournaments will pick a tournament strategy, and you'll see, like, Chaos picks either Corki or Graves 25 games in a row over a couple weekends, and he really loves to sit on his same champion. And this time going Tristana just really surprises me.
No, it's very, very true. We did just talk, like, we talked about strategies, right? TSM's really early game. BRB, I'm going to pick Tristana real quick. And they're like, guys, Renekton's been so good, then TSM bans it. Guys, Vi and Jarvan are really good, and they get banned out.
Yeah.
Quick, name a champion, they won't pick it.
Name a champion, they won't pick it? That's too hard. Orianna. Orianna. That's the champion I named.
Chat.
Okay,
all right,
so
there's the lineup.
And one thing that we missed in all of the hubbub is the Olaf pick by Mega Zero.
Yeah.
This is the nerfed Olaf with something that people haven't really picked up on much, but Mega Zero before the tournament was saying, I'm going to do it. I think he learned at some point that the ultimate actually broke crowd control.
Yeah.
Because before the League Championship Series, he didn't know that. Because the last time he played Olaf, over a year ago, the ultimate didn't cleanse CC on cast. And he was like, that's kind of good to know after qualifying for the LCS.
Yeah, and of course now we've seen Echo back on Anivia. Played it yesterday. It got banned out from him like the entire LCS qualifier. So hopefully a healthier Echo can bring that back out, because that was his main champion. That was the guy to look for.
So getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, we got the team comps going down. Team Solo Mid looks to do the Wombo combo with Orianna, something we haven't seen come out in a little while. They're going for lane domination as well with Tristana and Taric. That will have a lot of kill potential level 2.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be all about the circle of AoE that TSM can create and hoping Chaos can hyper carry. So even though it looks a little different, that's still a TSM strategy. Overcross on Marn, Echo on Anivia, and Mega Zero on Olaf, as you said. Comfort champions. Heartbeat on a castery AD carry like Ezreal. That is his comfort zone. So Marn really just looking to lane and stay alive until they can get to team fights.
All right, and once again, we kind of talked about these teams again. Solomon saying that they had thrown their loss against Dignitas. Should have been 4-1 so far. We'll see if they can pick up their 4th win of the tournament. Of course, Marn, they're up. They're at 0-1 right now. They're looking for their first loss. But TSM, that is a hard opponent to get your first win against.
It's not getting any easier for Marn. Their first game of the tournament was against Dignitas. Now they're up against TSM, so they really have to take out the established teams right from the get-go. It's a lot of pressure coming in for these new teams in the LCS. Marn didn't get to play in the first week, and now everyone's like, they have to get their first win. It's like, we've only lost one game, man, come on. But it's tricky for them, and they're getting tested right off the bat.
You can see them up on your screens, of course. We're getting into the game right here. TSM on the blue side, Marn on red. We'll see what these guys can do as we get into the game.
All right, they've loaded up. Everyone running to base. I wonder if we'll see level 1s because we haven't really seen it happen as far as I can remember.
They've been pretty rare. Like, we've seen people try to invade, and then they'll get spotted and be like, okay, we're going to ward Tribrush and peace out. That's been mostly what I've seen, where they look for an invade, but if they get spotted, they kind of chicken out a little bit.
And I actually want to talk a bit about the Tristana pick once again. It's one thing about her rocket jump that I actually talked about the other day. Everyone complains about getting the rocket jump interrupted, and it's because it has a cast time on it. So if Shen can get the taunt in slowly, no, that's not going to happen either as we get a pause.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, the Tristana cast time does interesting things though, because you can basically bait Blitzcrank hooks with it, or you can basically override most pulls if you time it well. So it absolutely does work both ways. Like, I've canceled headbutts with that thing, and it feels awesome when you do that for what it's worth.
So it's actually, if the Blitzcrank pull, it's too much, but I want to say this. If a Blitzcrank pull hits Tristana while she's casting the W before she jumps, she will jump.
Yeah.
But if the Blitzcrank pull hits right after she starts jumping, she'll get pulled.
Yes.
She's actually, I almost want to say, a bit of a clunky champion in the sense that she has slower cast times than someone like Kha'Zix on her jump. When you're jumping through the air trying to pull off your combo with your explosive shot and your buster shot like your E and Q, if you don't queue those up properly, you're not going to cast all your spells. But someone that has mastery over a champion or really plays Tristana unlocks all of these things that are kind of hard to access. So she's actually a really difficult high skill cap AD carry that KX has picked. And if you can get to the 703 attack range at level 18, incredibly lethal. It's just a difficult road to travel to get there.
So when we look at Tristana, right, and having a difficult road, but hoping to get to that 703 attack range, I mean, you can see Martin's sort of lineup on your screen at least. You've got basically Olaf and Shen in there. Is that even a threat to Tristana?
It's a bit of a threat. The problem with that is when Mega Zero pops his ultimate, you can't knock him back anymore. So it's a pretty good counter to knowing that Tristana has been picked because they picked it a little earlier on. And actually, while we work on this technical difficulty, seeing as Echo is on Anivia against Reginald, this ties in a little bit to a story you wanted to tell about Mega Zero and Reginald back in beta.
All right, so back in beta, Mega and Reginald were both known as really, really good Anivia players. They both played AP mid, or mid, because everything was thrown mid lane.
Yeah, everything was solo mid, which is actually kind of how they got the name solomid.net, but that's a totally other story.
No, but basically, they had a bit of a beef together, and so Reginald challenged Mega Zero, 1v1 Anivia mid, loser quits LoL.
Right.
And if I remember it properly, I think Reggie pulled minion aggro right before he got egged, and Mega wins the duel at like level 2. And Reggie was then forced to quit LoL. And he didn't, and you know, to his credit, he's now one of the best League players alive. But back 3 years ago, this man was forced to retire by Mega Zero.
It's all a sham.
It's all a sham.
He should have been gone forever ago, and Mega Zero should be the captain of Team solomid.net. Everything could be different.
This should be like an alternate reality. We should go back. It's like an episode of Fringe or something.
If Reginald didn't exist, what would happen?
If Mega kicked out Reggie, what would happen to the world? Would it even be called Team Solo Mid? What would it be?
Would League of Legends even exist? I don't know. Everything could be different.
We owe our success to you, Reginald. Andy Din, you are the man who's made League of Legends what it is, and we all appreciate it.
So I want to talk maybe a bit more about these team comps. There is a mouse problem on Marn's side. We're trying to get that solved as quickly as possible. Guys got to keep themselves warmed up.
They just need to get some cheese and a trap so they can get that thing out of there.
Some cheese and a trap.
To get the mouse. There's a mouse problem.
They already have a mouse problem, man. Oh.
Right, it's to kill the mouse.
Get the mouse problem out of there. Because I was thinking with cheese, you're just going to attract mice.
Okay, you're right. We thought of different ways at it, but we got it going on. Okay, so, you know, we've got actually comfort picks back here, though. Odd one up on Maokai. Like, Reginald's been learning Orianna for a while. Like, this feels like comfort on both sides, really, actually. Like, when you kind of break down these picks, it's like it's kind of like the old guard for all these people and the champions they really like to play.
And we'll see if Team Solomon can kind of pull off their play style that they like to do so much. This goes back almost all the way to Season 1, and when they were dominant in Season 2, they haven't changed. They've changed a lot in the champions they play.
Sure.
Only slightly in the champions they play, actually, now that we see Maokai coming out. But their general style is Odd One will support Reginald almost more than any other lane, and that is brought out when they do a pick like Maokai. He really tries to get Reginald going because Reginald will sacrifice himself to get the team working. He's fine dying. He's fine for trading kills.
Yeah.
Dyrus is also kind of just like his tag team buddy that when they decide to go in, Dyrus flies in as fast as possible as well. They used to do this kind of stuff with Vladimir and Kennen, actually. Dyrus would fly in, get really low, pop his blood pool. Reginald would run in with Kennen right as he's about to come out of blood pool because everyone was focusing around waiting to kill Dyrus. Then Reginald was pop his Kennen's Zhonya's, and they synergize really well together. We'll have to see the same type of thing. Odd One's going to get Reginald going in mid lane. Then Dyrus is going to fly in, and as soon as they go for Dyrus to crowd in around him, Reginald's going to pop the Orianna ult, and they'll try to get that. And then Chaos will sit back, and he's really the first big-time American player to popularize the never die AD carry, right?
Yeah.
He plays substantially more passive than some of the other AD carries, so he's always alive at the end of fights. But that complements so well the over-aggression that Reginald puts on the rest of the team. So that's really their whole play style kind of tried to round up. They're probably, if they were listening to this, they'd probably be like, that is nothing like we play Jet. But that's exactly what I recognize, and I think it's fairly accurate.
It's actually interesting you bring that up as well because yesterday I actually alluded to an Amy that Mock Noon did, and he was asked, what are the sort of types of AD carries?
Right,
he said there's three main player roles, and one of them is the never die AD carry, such as Chaos and such as Score. Also,
he was a KT Roaster B80 carry who had like a 16 kill death to test average throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, and then there's ones who will go in just to deal damage and will like just risk themselves for a kill, and that just looks like I'm a cutie pie basically at all times. And then I forgot what the third one was because they seemed like all-encompassing. But there was
the third one was the tank AD carry. So like Score or someone like Chaos is usually or used to be the guy who builds glass cannon, sits in the back. But then you have the tanky AD carries who will build the Warmogs and just kind of be a mix of the first two. It's actually kind of
where they're safe from items. So we are into the game, of course, as you can see. And you mentioned it, there's been no invades early on, and that seems to be the same thing here. However, we do see that Martin is looking for a 2-on-1. Mega Zero down to that bottom lane. We saw them do this last time. And once again, they've got Heartbeat, and Atomic N up at the top lane here.
Looks like not too much going on, as we've seen most of. One thing that these teams need to put a huge amount of importance on, though, Freak, is paying attention exactly to the early wards, because they do not want to give up those jungler double buffs, which were killer for both of these teams yesterday. So it has to be in the top of their mind to not get counter-ganked once the jungler has the doubles.
And right now we actually see that there are actually wards at the bottom side of mid for both teams, but Echo's covered actually by 2 wards already, so I can't see him getting ganked by Maokai too much.
Really, really knowing what TSM is going to be going for, right?
Yeah.
Because we know that the Odd One loves to gank mid, and he will just have to be overly patient if he's trying to execute anything mid. Otherwise, he's going to waste a lot of time trying to kill Echo.
Yeah, meanwhile, though, we talk about who's trying to get killed right here, and MegaZero already being zoned out fairly well by this Taric Tristana lane. Actually, the very first time we saw MegaZero in a 1v2, he got dropped down about 10% by... Oh my gosh, Mega taking so much damage at the bottom lane. Exhaust is on as well. Can he get out? He's got Ghost on. One more attack. Is it going to beat up? He flashes for it. Kayak's going to rocket jump back out. 400 gold for him.
Oh my goodness, that was so well executed. We touched on it briefly in the pregame about the kill potential at level 2 for the Taric Tristana lane, and they went immediately for MegaZero on that. The tower tanking ports back into lane by X Special, and then Chaos knowing he could flash into tower range because he would get the refresh on his rocket jump once he got a killer assist. So they didn't even need to do the 2v3 tower dive at the start. They might try to do it on the rebound, but I feel like they're a little low to be able to make this work.
Mega actually checked the tri-brush. Odd One already metagamed him, though. It's actually sitting around behind the brush. Mega does not know he's there right now. We'll see if that happens. Clicky D is nearby, and now he's on turret. Here comes the Odd One. He's got the stun. Here comes Twisted Advance. The rocket jump on there as well. Especially actually flashes out of range, and now MegaZero's taking all the damage. Odd One is there. Here comes Clicky D. Can he taunt him back into turret range? Not quite. And Reginald comes to show up and as well support this.
No
it's
way.
Actually a 4-on-1 tower dive. Clicky D flashes away.
They're going to keep
aggro
going.
is gone. They are still going in, but KX has aggro. KX will go down. He picks up the kill back onto Clicky D, but it's 3-1.
That is by far worth it for Team Soul Mid because all 3 of those kills went to Chaos. This is not a surprise to anyone. This is pure execution by Team Solo Mid. They did outplay MRN even more strategically by sending Reginald down there to make it 4 members because they knew that MRN was going to know that the 3v2 was going down. So soon enough, we're just going to have 5-man fights down at the bottom lane in TSM games at 4 minutes. But that was just another example of them outplaying their opponents with their amazing coordination on the early game tower dives.
Absolutely. Now, look at the top lane. Of course, we're seeing the fruits of Martin's labor, at least. No gank for them, but at least they're getting the turret low. But yeah, and I was going to say, like, Darius has teleport as well, so you might see those 5-man dives eventually. I like want to dwell on that dive, though, because, like, Special walked in to take 1 turret shot just to flash out, to just, like, donate 100 health to a teammate to take 1 more turret shot.
These guys have done that dive so many times that they know exactly how to time the turret aggro and bounce between each other.
Yeah. So we're going to recap these lanes. Of course, we got Echo chilling up in the mid lane. Of course, has a minor minion kill lead over Reginald, because Reggie did, of course, roam out right there. We see again in the top lane that turret taking more damage, but... Oh no, they put a new ward down. I was going to say it had expired, but Oddman is spotted walking around the bottom here.
And we want to see how MegaZero is able to adapt from this because he was the carry for MRN in the qualifiers, and teams have really focused on shutting him down. Dignitas did a very good job of keeping his Renekton down. He's going to be in a 1v2 almost every game, and now that he's already died to a couple dives, they're completely just going to try to kill his turret here. They had the disadvantage of the top lane themselves where Darius is getting his turret low. They're going to try to counter it right here. And it's just the pressure they're putting on the bottom lane over and over. Darius actually going for a kill up top solo.
He's trying to find it. The exhaust goes on, though. Heartbeat's going to go for the counterattack. His attack speed's been shredded, though. No teleport or way to support that. Darius will be safe here. Clicky D, though, under the turret, taking a lot of punishment. Oddone drops aggro. KX going to jump out of range. Will fall down, though. MegaZero gets 1 kill for his troubles. And, of course, with minions, TSM are able to walk right through that, but a 1-for-1.
Boy, they love doing that tower dive. They are going to continue to hammer that, and MRN is going to continue to try and answer. I wonder if Chaos is going to fall behind in levels because Tristana actually has a power dip in the mid game that sometimes can't be bypassed. Since he's taking so long to get his levels up, means his attack range might not be there in team fights. He does have to be cautious to not let that happen.
It'll be an interesting trade-off because, of course, he's super rich in gold. He's already got a BF sword for himself. So I am curious to see how that attack range compares to his item build so far. but we're just seeing Mega getting pressured on that turret, of course, still slightly keeping that one alive. The turret is exceptionally low. Flaky D is going to cover the lane while Mega's not going to recall. He was about to, but looks like they're going to two-man this turret for now. However, KX is coming back in.
And Odd1 is still keeping his presence up. He would only have the mana for one Twisted Advance and no other spells, but just the knowledge that they've been dove so many times in the past and the turret was a couple hits away, Team Solomon is able to clear that one out, and it's going to be a straight-up trade in the top lane as both turrets fall at 7 minutes.
Actually, one thing that's interesting is Heartbeat has double the minion kills of Chaos. So you talked about him falling behind in levels, and of course he's been dead for a long time. He's actually suffering heavily in minion kills. It's still given him a 600 gold lead, but it's not as crazy as you would have expected from a 4-kill lead.
It's what Chaos has to be careful of, because the straight-up aggression and the fact that he fell twice to the turret and Olaf means that Heartbeat was able to free farm in the same way. 66-30, as you say, is a pretty large lead in minion kills. It's just a matter of the 4 kills. I think Chaos came out way ahead there, man.
Yeah, I'm absolutely right. We just saw the gold lead, of course, on the screen down there. You see the gold lead at the top of your screens as well. TSM up 700 gold right here, but this definitely looks different from Marn, both versus Dignitas and Marn versus TSM back from MLG Anaheim. So certainly a closer game here. Reginald being given away this golden buff right here. He's going to be pretty happy about that one. Echo not grabbing his just yet. Of course, Shen had started red buff, so a bit of a timer still left on that.
And we haven't talked at all about the other lanes because there's been so much tower diving going on, but Reginald did start with that crystalline flask on Orianna, and he's getting out-farmed a little bit by Echo, so the normal mid-pressure that the Odd1 historically had put on mid lane for Reginald hasn't been there, and hopefully Echo is feeling better because he is doing a pretty good job. Pre-6 out-farming Orianna as Anivia is quite an accomplishment.
And of course, as soon as he gets golden buff, have fun with Glacial Storm. But Odd1, though, he's actually sensed that the golden buff is responding soon. They've already pinked toward that brush. Solo mid, they're actually keeping a bunch of people down here. They are in position to steal away blue.
And this is a matter of them knowing they have the turret down as Megazir actually tries to fly in with the Shen ult.
There we go, they get the dash on. Great jump by Cax, keeps him safe, but Xpecial forced to flash away. Nice buster shot while Heartbeat chase. Q goes off, not quite gonna kill Xpecial. Let's see what else they can do right here. Looks like it's gonna be 0 for 0.
Able to repel that one. They know the dragon is up, and they're still going to try to get over control. Marn pink warding the pink ward to clear out that area there. Xpecial, knowing he has no flash, getting out of that area. Not really sure what TSM is going to do next, because after all of this amazing action, they are only up 700 gold free.
And yeah, it is just very, very interesting to see. I really like the counterattack sort of just available from Marn. Of course, they traded that turret. You know, getting actually, I guess, shutdown gold on KX is really important as well. We've talked about that. When guys are on killing sprees, they're worth more gold. And so a 0-2 Mega 0 wasn't worth quite as much. And then getting a kill on like on a 1-1 or a 3-1, KX would really help them quite a bit.
And KX now not really able to do much against Heartbeat. He's a level down. He did rush a Phage, which actually isn't that strong of an item to rush anymore since we're in Season 3. I haven't seen many people do that whatsoever. When he gets the Trinity Force, he will be in an okay situation because it's now 3 gold.
Yeah, the 3 gold upgrade.
But for now, that's not the best situation for KX, despite what seemed like an amazing early lead.
So we'll see how that pans out, of course. Like, Ezreal goes back to the base, buys up Boots of Speed, so he's got the movement speed advantage at least. Solo mid have actually put a pink ward down at the Dragon Brush, though. So they're feeling pretty good around the middle of the map, though. Like, they could, of course, challenge for that. Dyrus still has his teleport up, whereas Mega Zero does not. So TSM could force a 5-on-4 against that turret.
There is that window where Claky D doesn't have his Shen ultimate that they will be able to work around, and you can see the TSM is looking to keep up their aggressive pressure throughout this one. The farm advantage still coming, I'd have to say, almost to Marn. They're doing a really good job sticking in their lanes, which, you know, they've avoided the disaster, I want to say, that happened yesterday against Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, keeping within 1,000 gold, really, I have to say, like, I don't want this commentary to be about how good Marn is for not quite losing, but actually, Claky D gonna find a stun in the face right there. Here comes the 3 of them. Can he jump over the wall? He will. Lands the talent onto the odd one. Doesn't get much out of that, but they'd also counter-warded their Golem again, so that's a ward back down there.
So Dyrus has his teleport up, but Mega Zero doesn't, which is one of the reasons Team Solomon is trying to force onto this dragon. They harassed out the bottom lane. They know there's no turret, and they know they've denied the vision, so they might end up getting this one completely free. Yeah, they've got just a bunch of guys down there. No one is around to support that whatsoever. Nice pickup. It's going to stretch their gold lead up to about 2,000. And TSM, I mean, this looks like TSM, right? They're being pretty surgical with their gameplay so far. They are predictable, at least. I don't know if it's quite surgical, because the way they've been losing Chaos in those bottom tower dives, it did seem brute force and almost a little sloppy. So I still really want to see if it cost them. This Tristana mid-game dip is actually what we would experience right now. If Heartbeat did go aggressive onto them, it might be okay for Marn. Like, Tarek's mid-game is kind of holding on for Chaos' poor weak game because Tarek buffs up so much armor. It's a really interesting dynamic that's going on in that bot lane if they, you know, actually end up to fight and look at each other.
And Chaos is sitting on about 2,000 gold right now, so he can get all 3 components of Infinity Edge and just wait on the combined cost. So he's definitely, if he wants, we can spike up his attack damage decently. And of course, depending on his points in... Wow, he's got 0 points actually in rapid fire. So you're right, that mid-game dip, even if he has attack damage, like, he's got no attack speed to back that up.
He's going all kill lane all the time with that rocket jump max. So it is going to be a while until he gets that rapid fire up. A lot of the Tristanas, actually, I remember when Aframu was playing him back when he was on, he's actually TSM
Evo?
Yeah, TSM Evo. He would max his Q pretty much by level 9 or so. He'd get the 2 points in W and 2 points in E, and then he'd max out his Q on Tristana. But that is a totally different path that Chaos is taking.
So we'll see how that pans out, of course. You know, again, you mentioned him at this late game carry, mid game dip. We'll see if KX and the rest of TSM can hold until they get there. Right now, we're seeing Claky D run around in the jungle. KX still on farm patrol at the bottom lane, keeping that 30 minion kill deficit pretty equal here. You know, we said he dipped down from 30 to 66. He's still at 80 to 110, so that's holding on pretty well for him.
Top lane, we have Dyrus. Actually, 92 to 61. Hasn't really gotten much tower damage, but he's built the early Glacial Shroud, so a little bit of a revamp here. No health built on Dyrus early on in the game, which is something we have not seen from many of the top laners.
No, but interestingly enough, that's going to be... We'll see if it ends up being a good build for him. We just saw blue buff go away to Reginald once again. He's been pretty uncontested here. Both mid laners really not seeing a ton of action aside from that one turret dive at the beginning that Reginald participated in. The lanes are back to normal as well. Of course, we're seeing KX still just heads up against Heartbeat.
We'll see how Chaos does in this bottom lane, and they're diving up top. No, they're just fighting up top. Here comes the gank.
All right, Ricky's going to look for the taunt. Oh, nice flash there from Dyrus, going to get him out of that one.
So he barely was able to escape that one, didn't have to burn his ultimate, still has his teleport. Trying to stop him from pushing up, that's Marn.
All right, so unfortunately no quick gains for them. Reginald really pushing up the mid lane, but you're seeing the wave clear from Anivia really stop Reginald from getting much, but Reggie actually just getting the Wraiths right there for himself. He's actually right on top of Shen, though. We'll see if that ends up being something. Claky D actually going to disengage, so he's actually respecting Reginald quite a lot as well.
Reginald still trying to keep the pressure up. He's now come back a little bit onto Echo. Echo had the edge on him earlier on in minion kills. It's mainly because he's completed his item in Athene's Unholy Grail, but Echo has not completed his item. He's probably going for the Rod of Ages on top of his Chalice of Harmony. It is a bit of a farm fest going on there, and if TSM wants to make something happen, it's going to be maybe another dragon, because all the kills really happened at the start of the game in that tower dive.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up being really in the cards for them, of course. Marn holding on to their lanes. Actually talking to one of the players about Marn overall, they said that sort of Marn's weakness was their early game. They're laning more so than their team fighting, and we kind of saw that manifest here. Their early lanes had a bit of a rocky start, but I mean, every game that I've seen of Marn where it didn't look brutal early on, they'd always come out to win it. Now that was during the qualifiers. We'll see if TSM is one of those numbers as well.
During the qualifiers, they actually openly stated that they really wanted the team plays. MegaZero's just chaining down the axes onto Dyrus, finally misses one to disengage. But Marn was really just talking about their bruiser comp and how it actually took less team synergy to run, because it was just pick a target and go. And everyone would just try to dive on top of that. Yesterday they struggled playing the Anivia composition because it was a more balanced approach almost through just having different things to pull off during the game. They're doing a bit better job this time. MegaZero has stated that the team in general works better when they get into team fight phase. He wants them to be able to escape laning phase, and they have escaped the laning phase for the most part here. So we'll see once the team fights break out if they can perform.
So looking at the guys on the map right now, if a team fight were to break out this second, looking at the items on the screen, the champion levels, who's stronger on the map right now?
It would depend a lot on how the Anivia wall works and if they're able to split up TSM as a team, but the combination from TSM right now might be enough. Dyrus could get onto Heartbeat if he lands his ultimate. They could combo it with Orianna, and then maybe they could come down with it. But if they're cut buy the Anivia ultimate. I think there's enough health on Claky D and Mega Zero that they could get through to Chaox's Tristana before he gets a spin or a jump away.
Yeah.
But it's actually kind of too close to call right now, which might be why the teams are just farming it out.
It's an interesting thing to watch. Like, I always like fights where it's not based on gold or the champion. It's like, well, if you play it properly, you're going to be fine. Got a quick pause, of course, for you guys. We'll see what ends up being the case there. But, you know, we've seen just hyper-aggression from TSM, and then we've, like, everyone kind of walked back to their prescribed lanes, actually. Like, TSM re-swapped back up, the Dyrus went to the top, or Marn re-swapped back, and Mega went top, and it's just like, we actually have like a 15-minute laning phase.
It's been a really strange development in this game because we're 16 minutes, 46 seconds in right now, and the last kills were really on like the 3 or 4 minute mark, right? So they've really just went back to farming. Marn was like, hey guys, they're diving bot. And they're like, all right, let's put a bunch of people there. TSM's like, they put a bunch of people bot. Let's farm, right? And I think that's what's actually happened right now. These tech problems are probably also weighing on them a little bit. It does add to a bit of a disjointed game. You have a strategy flowing. It pauses, it comes back, and it could be something completely different. I think they might restock on what's been going on to the 16-minute mark and realize, like, hey, maybe we should start putting some pressure up somewhere. Or maybe it's just both teams think they have the edge late game.
Could be really, really interesting. Actually, apparently the Odd One apparently caught whatever Echo had or something. Odd One apparently says he's not. Sabotage. The BC Boys sang about this years ago. That's how old I am. And I never thought I'd have to say that. Now I'm talking about myself being old. But yeah, apparently Odd One not feeling great. That's too bad. I mean, if Echo's feeling better, that's nice. But come on, General, you can do this.
There's some sickness going around for these guys. You can see he's missing from his spot. So hopefully he's able to clear his system a little bit, feel a bit better. That is really unfortunate. Something is going around. Because all of these guys, I know we said it was Echo was sick yesterday, but Claky D wasn't feeling well either. There's certainly a lot of members around here of the production crew that haven't been feeling well either. I got a bit of a sore throat going on, so I'm a little worried about this now.
Riv's been chugging cough lozenges as well.
Right. Odd One's back in his chair. Hopefully he's able to get back into the game. The Admiral, the General.
The Admiral's a zingy. This is the General Odd One.
Yeah, that's true.
It's okay. You got it, though. You said it. It's okay. Jat, we forgive you. We still love you, Jat.
All right, back in about 4 seconds. We're going to be into the game. Let's see if either one of these teams can actually take some initiative because TSM is clearing out pink with a pink ward at Dragon, which is going to be up any second now.
I'm actually a little bit disappointed in Nick Special. He's not running pink Tarek. I mean, yes, Valentine's Day is over now, but there is really only one true Tarek skin, and that is the fabulous pink Tarek skin.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and I'm sure we will have legions of fans agree with us here. Back to the top lane, we're seeing just laning. Atomic N with a lot of pink wards. They're really, like, in Season 3, I've seen a lot of pink ward battles, like way more than I saw in Season 2.
And the big reason for that is because the Oracle's Elixir is only the 4-minute duration, so people don't want to put in the overall investment if they're not roaming the entire map. So the pink wards is really what controls the Dragon fights nowadays. Everyone roaming up around here. Both top laners do have their teleports up. This could be the fight. We see Marn teleporting to engage.
All right, that's going to be, I guess you're right there, but they're going to see that Dyrus is right on top of them as well, and they're going to immediately pop up. Heartbeat is going to cleanse backwards, try to get behind a wall. The team has grouped up there as well. Rage is going to get the pull, lands it onto Atomic N. Shadow goes on top to keep him alive. Claky D is going to fall, though, from that. They've found Chaos. Can they get the burst? He cleanses the slow, gets over the wall. He's going to be safe. Actually baits the team pretty well. Reggie picks up Mega Zero. That's a 2 for nothing. They're going to get the root onto Atomic N. There's no turret there to keep him alive. Puts the slow down. That's going to be 3 for nothing right here. And Reggie's in behind. He finds Heartbeat. 1v1 against Echo. Doesn't quite land the Q. Puts the stun back onto him, but Echo now the only one alive. Reggie almost finds the damage, and Odd One is still chasing. Gets hasted by the dissonance. There's a sapling. It will not chase him down. Echo, the only living member from Marn.
So you could tell Marn during that pause really just knew they wanted to go in for the fight afterwards. They forced a little bit too hard going into that Dragon fight, and Chaos schooled them over top of that ledge. Rocket jumping over for the majority of the fight. As soon as Marn came around to finish him off, he flashed over back to the other end, and that just allowed everyone else on TSM the time to wear down Marn, and Chaos executed at the end of it.
That was an absolutely great play, and I mean, TSM had put that vision board down just a minute ago as well. That's what allowed Dyrus to teleport in, and they just forced the engage, like you talked about it. If they can pop up Heartbeat and Reggie can follow up, that forced his flash. The Shockwave forced him to flash away, so really, really good. The Dragon, of course, you just saw that go to TSM. 8-2, the kill lead really there is 5,000 gold. This is a very good looking TSM right now.
And the Frozen Heart got completed onto Dyrus as well, so the aura is coming out in that way. He's really just looking to shut down attack speed even more so. Already getting it with the E on Malphite. Something we haven't seen as much of in Season 3. Frozen Heart was a huge item in Season 2. Glacial Shroud became a little less accessible. All those other things coming in on top of it, and it's good for him right now because that last teamfight victory worked quite well.
Yeah, so of course we're seeing Martin look for some gold to get back for themselves. We called them the king of comebacks. They tended to do very well at that, but Heartbeat looking for some farm at the bottom, and TSM, they're grouped up a little bit more toward the top. Chaos is I guess he's just looking for a turret right here almost.
And the problem for Marn is going to be that TSM is really good at reacting to other teams' aggression. Kind of like Dignitas said they were having trouble closing games, so they just wanted to push all the lanes and just wait until they win.
Yeah.
TSM does have an opportunity to do that right here because the last fight was Marn really trying to force onto TSM, and TSM came out on top.
Yeah.
TSM was already winning the lane battle, so if they just continue to win the lane battle, they will force Marn into another one of those situations, and they think they can come out on top of that.
Well, we're seeing that, of course. Chaos and Special shoving up this top lane. MegaZero's on top of them. He's got support coming in. We'll see what happens with this fight. Special pulls aggro. Chaos going to jump away. Mega's going to pop ult. He lands another Q. He's going to keep this train going. Who's going to come up in time? Heartbeat's nearby. Not going to land a shot, though. No slow for him.
And during all this, Dyrus is split pushing the bottom lane. MegaZero didn't have backup in time. They were trying to get him off the turret, but it just didn't work. So TSM actually putting pressure in mid and in bot.
And you're just seeing that, right? Clicky D shows up, tries to push Dyrus away. All he can really do is hit some minions right here. Reginald, of course, still chilling in that top lane, or mid lane.
And the top lane push is actually getting flanked by the odd one. They didn't see him with any wards, but it looks like they're smartly going away. I wonder if he's going to go in for this.
He finds Atomic End's going to knock him into the air, puts the ult down as well. Immediate disengage, actually. Marn, apparently the turret is enough for them.
They might just try to finish this one off. Heartbeat popping his ultimate, but it looks like the brute force from TSM continues third turret of the game.
All right, really, really good play by them. They only lost the one turret on the lane swap so far. Those 2 kills only on their turret dives. Aside from those, I wouldn't even call them mistakes necessarily. TSM has not given up anything on this map.
And it's just a matter of split pushing and running away. I mean, MegaZero's tried to chase down Dyrus a few times with those axes. Hasn't really worked out. Dyrus getting too much move speed from his Q, able to run away. It's just the 2 kills for Marn. They haven't been able to find team fights. I don't know what they're going to do to come around in this one, Freak.
Well, we'll see if they can find something there, maybe a catcher. We'll see what it ends up being. The farm, of course, is still happening. I mean, TSM is doing a very good job of controlling the map. They haven't really shut anyone down from Marn at the very least. I mean, we saw games where, like, Fat had a rough game on Rumble for GGU and wasn't really a big factor, but it seems like everyone on Marn's at least having an okay game.
They're at least keeping MegaZero down a fair bit. I mean, he has caught up a bit in 123 minion kills, but from the very start of this, when we saw the 3 tower dives on MegaZero's turret within the first 5 minutes of the game, that seemed to be their target. They did kind of pull that one off. Claky D hasn't been able to steal much farm on Shen to become a split-pushing monster. A lot of things are going really according to plan for TSM. Chaos is going to be coming out of that mid-game Tristana lull pretty soon. Now that he has the Infinity Edge and the Zeal, let's see actually if he has points. He's got 3 points in Rapid Fire, so once he maxes that out, he's got the 90% attack speed steroid coming out as well. This is looking really, really promising for TSM.
And he's up to 649 attack range as well, so he's tied with Caitlyn, and he's only going to get better from there. We'll see how that plays up for him. Like you said, he's getting out of that mid-game lull, so see if TSM looks for something with Chaos. There's, of course, still staying at that top lane, Reginald staying in mid. Odd One looks for MegaZero. He's not really going to find him for much, though, under that turret.
And the ore items as well are coming in for TSM as they're just slowly moving around and slowly pushing the turrets. The Frozen Heart's been completed for a while, but they also have the Locket of the Iron Solari on the Odd One. There's nothing coming out on Marn that gives him those types of teamfight advantages. You'd always got to factor in as well just the armor aura that Tarek is putting out, or the attack speed slow that Dyrus's Malphite can put out, not even counting about the Frozen Heart. So even though it's just a 6,000 gold advantage, it's a lot more when you factor in the auras.
Wow, and the ult going off on Echo, putting him pretty low right here. Reggie looking for a little bit of poke. And I want to point out that bottom turret, without a dedicated siege, just the Dyrus split push, it's down to about a quarter right here. So again, you talked about it. TSM, they're not looking for a crazy fight, but they are just winning slowly but surely here.
And it's complete control for them in a lot of ways. The first tower dive seemed a little chaotic, but once they got those, they've stuck to the same strategy, and Marn's been unable to break them out of it. Yesterday, I mean, Curse said, as we've gotten better and better as a team, they've become better at coming back in games. But something that every team has to learn is how to come back in games, because clearly forcing those huge team fights down at Dragon wasn't the way for MRN. They needed to opportunistically wait for the other team to make a mistake. TSM wasn't giving them windows, but MRN has forced it anyway.
And you just saw kind of what happened there. Now they're going to almost look for another window against Dyrus. They put some damage on him. And look, he like walks into two people, ground slams, and says, yeah, you're not going to kill me. Walks right back out. He's actually sitting there, like he's actually like trying to pull cooldowns basically. Standing on top of an axe, standing in front of Mega. I would expect him to spam laugh at this point knowing Dyrus.
Well, his build is actually pretty smart. He did this yesterday as well, where he would build 2 Giant Spells before upgrading into a Warmogs. He's already got the resistances from his Frozen Heart. When he activates his W, he gets 30% more armor, so he's a ridiculously tanky Malphite. And he's got, you know, the 2,860 health. There's not much MRN can do to him as they take the Dragon. Just want to keep talking about Malphite, because even his passive is working out based off of his max health. Every time he's not hit for a little while, it will take just about 700 effective physical damage just to break through his shield that he gets from that passive. So what is MRN going to do, Freak? We keep going back to it, but they're not making any plays.
Well, last time they made a play, it didn't work. So, I don't know. Like, if you're in this game, what goes through your head? Because you're like, well, we tried to start a fight, and that didn't work. If we sit here in lanes, we're getting a little bit outlaned here. What goes through your head here?
The one thing that they can't catch themselves doing, which is kind of what they're doing now, is, like, it's a tricky balance, right? Because I was criticizing a little bit when they overforced during the Dragon fight. But right now, it almost looks like they're under-forcing, in a sense. They're sitting back too far. I really hope that they're not worried about dying and looking bad to come back in the game, because clearly if this trend persists, where TSM is just pushing them all out, they have to go for something. I mean, this is kind of why Gambit Gaming, when they lose, look to lose, like it looks like they lose hard, because they don't accept these situations.
Yeah.
When you lose the kind of first 3 outer turrets, you will get starved out if the other team lets you do it. This is the point where you have to take the chance to overforce. It's probably not going to work out for you, but you have to try, because otherwise TSM will strangle you out and you will lose the game.
Well, I want to look at map vision for those kind of situations. I know in general we've talked about wards being a really important thing for strangling a game out or turning one wide open. And you're seeing basically TSM's got a number of aggressive wards, and Marge is kind of warding their own jungle, so they're not seeing TSM a heck of a lot on the map.
Actually, Lulu had to flash over a wall when they were trying to force around the Baron buff right there. And it's a matter of them getting split pushed by Dyrus, and at this point they may be too far behind to force anything. They have been getting strangled out. TSM's at the point where they're trying to look around Baron, and Dyrus getting caught up by 2 people, but he's got his flash and his ultimate. If he wants to get away, I think he does.
Well, they're gonna try to put some damage out anyway. The Qs are landing. There's the first one missing from Mega Zero, and meanwhile he's pulled so much attention that TSM are going for Baron right here. They're putting a lot of hurt onto it, down to 8,000 health. MRN is moving over. They might be there in time.
MRN has no vision, and they had to flash away the last time they checked. They know the Orion ult is there. Dyrus is teleporting in, but everyone from MRN could arrive there if they wanted to. They're cutting themselves off with their own Anivi wall, and TSM's going to get this.
TSM gets it completely for free. They were just so afraid of that Dyrus teleport, it seemed. Mega Zero is just going to chill at this right-hand side lane and keep the farm going.
There's a really good chance that Dyrus teleport scared them away and thought that TSM was forcing a really hard initiation. That's why the Anivia wall would have went down. That ended up cutting themselves off, and at that moment Heartbeat was like, well, maybe they're doing Baron. Fires the ultimate in, and it was just too late. They got lulled to death by TSM.
All right, well, with Baron buff in tow, we'll see if TSM starts turning on the pressure. Dyrus sits there, takes some damage from Echo, and just stays in that lane, refusing to really go anywhere. Dyrus is just having a pretty tanky good game right here, 1-0 and 2.
And quietly as well, Reginald has become a monster. He just bought double Elixir. He's got 516 ability power with that Baron buff. He's sitting at now 28% cooldown reduction without a blue buff, so TSM's looking to force it right now. It's 28 minutes of farming after their initial tower dives. They won the good team fight at Dragon, and now they're looking to just power through. When a team Elixir's up like this, it means they're trying to force.
And they got the Baron buff as well, of course. Dyrus in the front. This shield's blocking almost all the counterattack damage. The turret down below a quarter. Mega getting chunked actually pretty hard by Reginald, and there is their 5th turret kill of the game.
They're going to continue probably to push this one up. You can see Claky D is trying to force some pressure. Split pushing is going to get one turret, but TSM with the Baron regen is shrugging off any tower harass they took previously, and they're going to force Mega Zero to come back to base by potentially diving this turret.
All right, they're going to group up. They've got the shield on top of Dyrus. We'll see if he looks for anything. The ult comes off from Ezreal. They're pushing down onto this turret. A bit of damage right here. Maokai ult still there, keeping them from doing anything. Marn, they're going to back right off his inhibitor. Looks to be TSM's, but Marn are staying around, actually. If they pull in with the Shen ult, they could always look for a fight. Inhibitor, that's going to be TSM's as well, and they're going to disengage completely cleanly.
So they're trading an inhibitor for a bottom turret. That is not a good exchange. Yes, they probably would have lost the fight on the inhibitor, but if you're just giving up your mid inhibitor as an Anivia team who just thrives off of turtling, you may just be giving up the game. So they really have to force or at least fight at the next inhibitor push because they've already given up one. If they give up a second, they're basically just saying they've lost.
Well, Clicky D has taken these two turrets on his split push. A little burst of gold there. TSM still looking to play aggressively. Nice ult's going to catch up on an Echo. Can they get the damage there? The Shen ult comes through. Special in front. Mega Zero in front. Great Lulu ult catches 3. Where's the damage going to go to? Mega dropped dangerously low. He's going to get out of that one. Special and Dyrus low. Clicky D falls down. They do trade 1 for 1. Where are the rest of the kills going to go? Chaos still waiting for the turret. Looks like they got out cleanly.
They got about 90 seconds left on this Baron buff, and they're okay losing X Special. He was a huge amount of their auras, but they might look to keep taking this one down since it is a jungler for support. Dyrus going in.
Right, they put the giant shields onto him. He takes a little bit of damage. Great wall right there. Is going to catch up the odd one. He has to flash as well. The damage from Chaos is nice, but they do force them back, so Marn have held on for now.
That was a bit of a display of why Anivia is so good at turtling turrets. As soon as they went into melee the turret, they popped the wall, trapping them in there, and you can freely, because the backline wouldn't be able to get through the wall either to support the damage. But they lost so much in those exchanges. It's now only 31 minutes in. The gold lead exploded to 10,000. That was a big, big win for TSM in those exchanges.
Yeah, they're up 10,000 gold right now, 9-3, 31 minutes in. Now again, guys, if you're just joining us on the LCS stream, we're in game 3 of the day. We've got one more after this one. We've seen TSM currently sitting at 4-2 right now. They played early today, or 3-2?
I believe TSM is...
They were 3-2 at the start of the day. Yeah. They have not played today yet. Yeah, they're 3-2, looking to be 4-2. Marn 0-1, looking for their first win of the season so far, but 28-game season, I guess they could wait if they need to. And we're seeing TSM put on extremely, extremely strong early game pressure, and now they're really turning this one into a mid-late game sort of stranglethon.
X Special has the Runic Bulwark on Taric, so he's actually providing, if you count into his Shatter, a 40 armor and 30 magic resist aura to the entire team. Dyrus has the Frozen Heart, slowing the enemy attack speed. They got the Lock of the Iron Solari shield that Odd One is so good at using at just the right moment. So on top of all those auras, you look across at Marn, and they don't have the auras to fight against it. They are hopelessly behind at this point. Chaos is out of the Dark Ages with that Tristana right now. Triple big items, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper, close to 703 range now on Trist. He's sitting at, I wish I could read it, 685 at this point. Really just nuking Marn down from range. And the Baron buff is off of them at this point, but they're going to look to continue to pressure.
Looks like Reggie re-upped his elixirs, and they're still on the pressure. Look at the damage there on an Echo. Grabs the Lulu shield, but still not in the best place. So the push at top didn't work. Of course, Mega Zero holding off a one-on-one against Dyrus up there. But down to the bottom, TSM, they're definitely looking pretty great. You can see Dyrus right there, just shrugging off damage. 2 turret shots, does not care. Here comes the defense once again.
Anivia ult being held there. Echo did pick up a blue buff. He will be able to pretty much just keep that held down until the next wave gets here. I wonder if TSM is bold enough to dive through this turret. So the wall does come off, and Chaos is just happy shooting it.
Wow, look at the damage up with there. 3 shots to go to the turret falls. That's going to be a turret. Omni gets caught by the stun, does not have flash. Where's the damage going to come from? Looks like they do some on Mega Zero. There's the initiative from the Odd One, finds Echo, knocks him into the air. Shen, oh, great Shockwave's going to find Echo, knocked into the air. That egg is going to be boiled right there, and he jumps right in. Chaos is just looking for a kill. Will he grab Mega? Yes, he will. Clicky D, the next one. There's the bunny hop's going to find another one. Exhausted to Chaos, and he is happily walking forward. Another kill there onto Atomic End. 13-3. TSM are looking for the Nexus.
Wow, they just rolled through them in that team fight. It was the game of attrition, and TSM finally cracked the egg at the end of it. Here comes the Nexus turrets.
There we go. TSM putting themselves at 4-2 so far. Great job by them. Marn 0-2. We'll see if they can turn around their future matches. TSM, they're looking good.
just a little bit of relief on their faces right there. Odd One going to be able to take a rest after this one. I really hope he feels better. That was a clinic that TSM put on over time. They had the early tower dives, and after that, they really never made a single mistake against MRN.
No, they didn't. They had the 3-on-2s that we talked about 7 times throughout the last 2 days. That they are just this aggressive team, but they do an amazing job. These guys. I mean, you called it a clinic. I think you're absolutely right. TSM are just doing great right now.
And I want to see how this season progresses for these guys, because there's just so many more games we're going to be getting to see.
Yeah, so of course, coming up next, we're going to talk to Xpecial, the support from TSM, and then it's going to be our final match of the day with GGU versus Vulcan. Of course, you can see TSM shaking hands right there. MRN's going to have to continue their luck next week, but we'll see what these guys can do. But in the meantime, I do want to talk about TSM a little bit because, I mean, they were great. Like, they were, We're going to have Xpecial, of course, on for the interview, as I just said. He did an amazing job so far. I mean, do you have anything else you kind of want to say about TSM? They were pretty great.
Well, I just got to say that they need to return to their form, right? And they had a step of it coming in this game, because previously in Season 2, they dominated. They won like 6 months of straight victory. I know Curse has made some comments. I think it was an Elements interview saying, I want to play TSM soon before they just get back on their game, because they did have a big move. They're now living closer to Los Angeles to get this Season 3 underway, and it's a matter of just continuing their preparation and doing well.
All right, we're going to have, of course, words from Xpecial to see how that preparation has been going, how that season is shaping up. Once again, guys, GG vs. Vulcan is next. We'll be right back.